The first time Daniel Brooks heard the words, he thought his entire world had stopped. Mr. Brooks, the DNA test confirms that Lily is not your biological daughter. The doctor's voice echoed inside the small office, but Daniel couldn't process what he had just heard. What? He whispered. The doctor looked uncomfortable. There appears to be no biological relationship. Daniel stared at the piece of paper in his hands. No biological relationship. No, that wasn't possible. He had raised Lily for 12 years. He had been there when she took her first steps. He taught her how to ride a bike. He stayed awake beside her hospital bed during childhood fevers. He braided her hair badly when his wife worked late shifts. He had packed school lunches, read bedtime stories, scared away monsters hiding beneath her bed. He wasn't just her father. He was her entire world, and she was his. His knees nearly gave out. There has to be a mistake. I'm very sorry, the doctor replied gently. Daniel walked outside in a daze. Rain poured heavily over the city. People rushed along sidewalks. Cars honked impatiently. But Daniel stood frozen, because somewhere between one heartbeat and the next, everything he believed about his family had shattered. 2 weeks earlier, life had been normal. Daniel Brooks was 38 years old. He worked as a high school history teacher in Chicago. His life wasn't glamorous. He drove an old pickup truck, lived in a modest suburban neighborhood, spent weekends helping neighbors repair fences. His greatest achievement wasn't professional success. It was being Lily's dad. Lily Brooks had Daniel's heart wrapped around her tiny finger from the moment she entered his life. At 12 years old, Lily was bright, funny, and stubborn. She loved painting, hated math, collected vintage postcards, and believed her father could fix absolutely anything. Even broken hearts, she'd asked once. Daniel's smile, especially broken hearts. His wife, Rachel, had laughed. Careful, she'd teased. You're setting expectations pretty high. Daniel and Rachel had been married for 14 years. Their marriage wasn't perfect. But whose was? There had been financial struggles, arguments, long work hours. Still, they loved each other. Or so Daniel thought. The DNA test had started as a joke. Lily needed a school project involving family ancestry. Rachel suggested one of those mail-order DNA kits. It'll be fun, she'd said. Daniel agreed immediately. Lily became obsessed. What if we're related to royalty, she joked. Daniel laughed. Then I expect immediate access to castles. 3 weeks later, the results arrived, and everything changed. Daniel pulled into his driveway hours after leaving the doctor's office. The house looked exactly the same. Warm lights glowed through windows. Lily's bicycle leaned against the garage. Rachel's flower pots decorated the porch. Ordinary, safe, yet Daniel felt like a stranger approaching someone else's life. Then she noticed his face. Daniel. He held up the report. What is this? Rachel's expression shifted instantly. Fear. Pure fear. Where did you get that? Daniel's voice cracked. Tell me this is wrong. Rachel sat down heavily. Silence stretched between them. Finally, tears filled her eyes. I never wanted you to find out this way. Daniel felt physically ill. You knew. Rachel sobbed. It happened once. The room spun. What happened once? Rachel lowered her head. 12 years ago, Daniel stared. I made a terrible mistake. No. It was before Lily was born. No, Rachel cried openly. I thought Lily was yours. Daniel backed away. You thought. Rachel nodded desperately. I swear? But after she was born, you never said anything? I was terrified. Daniel couldn't breathe. 12 years. Upstairs a door opened. Dad. Lily appeared at the top of the stairs. Daniel immediately wiped away tears. Everything okay? Lily asked. Rachel couldn't answer. Daniel forced a smile. Yes, sweetheart. Lily studied them carefully. You sure? Daniel nodded. Go finish your homework. Go. She hesitated, then disappeared upstairs. Please. Daniel looked at her. I need air. He drove aimlessly for hours. Anger consumed him. Betrayal, confusion, grief. But beneath all those emotions was fear. Because no matter what biology said, Lily was his daughter, wasn't she? The next morning, Daniel found Lily painting in the kitchen. She smiled. Can you help me with history later? Daniel nodded automatically. Of course. Lily grinned. You're the best teacher ever. Something inside Daniel broke. That evening, Rachel approached carefully. What happens now? Daniel didn't answer immediately. I don't know. We can get through this. Daniel looked at her. You lied to me for 12 years. Rachel cried softly. I know. A days passed. Tension filled the house. Lily noticed. Dad. Daniel glanced up. Yeah. Are you mad at Mom? Children noticed more than adults realized. Daniel managed a small smile. Sometimes grown-ups have problems. Lily looked worried. You're not leaving, are you? Daniel froze. What? You promised you'd always stay. Daniel hugged her tightly. I'll always be here, but life had other plans. 2 weeks later, someone knocked on the front door. Daniel answered. A woman stood outside, elegant, composed, late 50s. Brooks. Wes. My name is Margaret Lawson. Daniel frowned. I believe we need to discuss Lily. Daniel's stomach dropped. What? Margaret inhaled deeply. My son may be Lily's biological father. Everything stopped. Again, Daniel stared. What? Margaret handed him a photograph. A younger Rachel stood beside an attractive man Daniel had never seen. My son, Thomas Lawson. Daniel's hands trembled. Where is he? Margaret looked away. Thomas died 6 years ago. Silence. Then, why are you here now? Margaret hesitated. Because my husband recently passed away. And, our family estate requires identifying direct heirs. Daniel frowned. What are you saying? Margaret met his gaze. If Lily is Thomas's daughter, she stands to inherit millions. Daniel nearly laughed. Absolutely not. Margaret blinked. Excuse me. You're not turning my daughter into some inheritance case. Margaret softened. I understand your concern. Daniel's voice hardened. No. But life rarely respected simple answers. Within days, lawyers became involved. DNA confirmation was requested. Rachel admitted Thomas had been the man from years earlier. Lily remained unaware. Daniel wanted it that way. Then came another twist. Margaret invited Daniel to dinner. Against his instincts, he agreed. The Lawson estate was enormous. Wealth beyond imagination. During dinner, Margaret surprised him. Thomas knew. Daniel looked up sharply. What? He knew Rachel was pregnant. Daniel's blood ran cold. You said nothing before. Margaret sighed. Thomas intended to find Rachel. What stopped him? Margaret hesitated. My husband. Daniel stared. Ha threatened Rachel. Ha believed public scandal would destroy our family. Daniel clenched his jaw. So everyone knew except me. Margaret lowered her eyes. Lasso Daniel left furious. At home, Lily greeted him excitedly. Dad, what? I got first place in art class. Daniel smiled despite everything. That's amazing. Lily hugged him. I couldn't have done it without you. That night, Daniel sat alone, thinking. Everyone had lied, Rachel, Margaret. Even dead men had left secrets behind. Yet Lily remained innocent. The next morning, Lily overheard an argument. You should tell her, Rachel said. Daniel replied firmly. Not yet. Lily entered quietly. Tell me what? Silence. Rachel panicked. Daniel swallowed hard. Lily, her face paled. What's going on? Daniel knelt beside her. No matter what, I love you. Lily's voice shook. Why are you saying that? Rachel began crying. Lily looked terrified. Mom, finally, Daniel explained, carefully. Gently. Lily listened without speaking. When he finished, tears streamed down her cheeks. So, she whispered. You're not my real dad. Daniel's heart shattered. He held her face. Lily, you are my daughter. Nothing changes that. But, Daniel hugged her tightly. I chose you every single day. Lily sobbed. You're still my dad. Daniel broke down. Always. Weeks later, Margaret requested to meet Lily. Daniel allowed it reluctantly. Unexpectedly, they connected. Margaret shared stories about Thomas. His kindness, his love for painting, traits Lily had inherited. But then another bombshell exploded. Thomas had left a letter. If Margaret handed it to Daniel. If I have a daughter, please tell her that I loved her before I ever met her. And if Daniel Brooks chooses to raise her, thank him. Because being a father isn't about blood. It's about showing up. Daniel couldn't stop crying. Years later, Lily stood on stage graduating high school. She searched the crowd. Then smiled. Dad, Daniel waved proudly. Rachel squeezed his hand. Life hadn't returned to what it was before. It had become something different, stronger, built on painful honesty. Lily hugged Daniel afterward. You know something? What? You saved me? Daniel laughed softly. I think you saved me too. People often believe family is defined by biology. But love doesn't work that way. Real parents are the ones who stay, who sacrifice, who comfort nightmares, who celebrate victories, who choose love even when life becomes complicated. Daniel never shared Lily's DNA. But he shared something far more powerful. His heart. Because fatherhood was never written in blood. It was written in bedtime stories, school concerts, hospital visits, tears, forgiveness, and unconditional love. Years after discovering the truth, Lily walked down the aisle on her wedding day. Daniel waited nervously. She approached him. You ready? Daniel smiled through tears. For what? Lily linked arms with him. For my dad to walk me down the aisle. Daniel cried openly. So? She whispered. You still think you can fix broken hearts? Daniel kissed her forehead. No, but I think love can, and together they took the first step. Because sometimes life reveals painful truths. Sometimes it destroys the future we imagined. But occasionally, it gives us something even more beautiful. The chance to choose each other again. The strongest families aren't always connected by blood. They're connected by the people who choose to love, stay, and never let go.